Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Gentleman's Discourse. I believe this is episode 4.
Yep.
My name is Ryan, and Josh is here with
What's
us
up?
as
What's
well
up?
as usual. For those who may not know, maybe the first comer here, Gentleman's Discourse, it's a second series, a second podcast series to the Gentleman Pursuits website. So basically, we talk about anything and everything and hope to spark
Inspire.
some, yeah, inspire you, maybe spark some, inner conversation, inner monologue with yourself about, once again, everything and anything.
Man, it's mostly
And
just like our conversation with like different topics. It's our form of like conversation, and I don't know. We just want to display it for you guys to know, and yeah, just want to like
exactly.
yeah.
So last week we talked about Asian culture, which was a really fun episode to do, in my opinion. I had a lot of fun to do, doing that. Did you had a lot of fun? I had a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
fun.
definitely. I mean, it's like it's such a like topic that's like so close to us because both of us
Yeah,
being from like an Asian background, and these cultures that we are involved in is just like to talk about it. I mean, it's really enjoyable and just like discover like new stuff as well. For example, like you told me about
yeah,
the
yeah,
baby
yeah.
throwing thing, which
Yeah,
I
this
thought it was
really
pretty.
fun. Yeah. So today we want to kind of continue the conversation because
Yep.
obviously talking about culture is a huge topic for us. And last week we talked about, certain festivals, certain cultural practices, and in the end we talked about what we would pass down to the next generation if we have kids, and mentioned a little bit of some urban legends and stuff like that. And this week we want to continue that conversation by starting with I'd say quite a sensitive topic for some
Mm-hmm.
people, which is the Asian identity
Ooh.
in foreign country, I'd say, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's an interesting topic to dive
Yeah,
into,
definitely. I
since
mean,
right
yeah.
since
For
I'm in
example,
Vancouver,
like
right?
yeah, because you're like technically first generation Asian. If you're like, if let's say you settle down in Canada and you have like children, you're like the first generation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So see, like one thing that I one or like one conversation that I saw myself getting to a lot is, um, even from my parents or from my friends from Hong Kong. Sometimes
Yep.
they'd be like, how how do you, or how did I assimilate into the culture here, right? There's
Yeah.
bound to be some cultural clashes.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't know. I feel like the way that I cope with the assimilation is by bumping into various problems, and me having to learn while dealing with various problems. As I said, last episode, I talked about how during the orientation camp
Oh
period,
yeah, that guy
basically,
came
right
up to you,
at the
right?
yeah. So that's like one of the things that is such a like a right hook into my face, saying that,
Yep.
hey, this is the real world right now.
This is
Like back
not this
then,
is not your hometown anymore.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh damn, now I gotta learn how to like fight for myself. And then that also, obviously not immediately after, but as time went on, more Asian people I've met here in Canada, we kind of, we would sometimes talk about how, um, I'd say, like some racial problems that Asian Americans, Asian
Mm-hmm.
Canadians have to face. So okay, let's say, like I want to ask you this question.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, sure.
um for okay, I mean, obviously you don't know, because you're studying in Hong Kong, you don't know I would assume that you wouldn't know what it feels. What I would assume. I'm not saying it is. I would
Oh,
assume that you wouldn't know what it feels like to live in a foreign country. Yeah, or you
oh,
have.
yeah. So I mean, throughout my upbringing, I've never really been like really, let's say, in touch with local culture. Like, um, so I was born in Hong Kong, but then my family moved back to mainland,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my first year in elementary school, I was studying in like those mainland like elementary schools, which is like the local schools, and I didn't fit in really well, and I even got bullied by girls. It sounds funny, but I got bullied by girls, and it was like a lot of mess. And then my mother realized that, oh, maybe I didn't fit in, and she basically so she took me out of that school and put me into like an international school where I've
Hmm.
found it to be much more comfortable, and I had like a great time there. So in a sense that I was never really like I never grew up in the mainstream, if you're um considering the, well, Chinese, or what,
Uh,
this cultural mainstream, right? And when
hmm.
I came back to Hong Kong, I was also not in the mainstream because, first of all, I don't remember if you remember, but like I said, I had this like crooked Cantonese thing going on.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And one of the reasons I went to our secondary school was because, like, it had like, I don't know, a really healthy English speaking environment.
Hmm.
And it's, I would say that our school, because it's a private school, right?
Yeah.
So it's not as mainstream as the local schools. Would you say that?
You mean
So
like
it's,
Cantonese or?
no, no, I mean like the whole approach, or the people there aren't
Oh, okay.
really.
Aren't like too local.
Yeah, I guess, like there are, of course, some resemblance of local culture, because
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the end of the
But yeah, yeah.
day, we're
I
still
feel
in
you.
Hong Kong. Yeah. And given that, with this context out of the way, I don't know. I mean, yes, of course, I've never, like, first person, been to like a foreign environment, but throughout my throughout my life,
You know,
I've, you know been kind of, foreign. And like, even
that was.
within my own. Yeah, what were you saying?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say that was my bad for phrasing the question so poorly.
Oh, no, 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 no.
No, I
I
was gonna
understand what
ask.
you're saying.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I assume that you've never lived in a country or a city where Asian community is the minority.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
not. But I get your thing on cultural clashes, because with the current, like, age of technology, you meet people around the globe online or everything. I mean, of course, it's
yeah.
not as like tangible or like physical as it might
Uh
be
huh.
if you were physically at their country. But then
Hmm.
through, like, for example, like exchanging information or just interacting in general, you figure out that, oh wow, people outside of, well, where I live, think differently. But for me, there isn't, um how to phrase this. I feel like the I feel like the gap between myself and the people I met, well, I don't
Hmm.
know, aren't really that big, and I don't feel that big of a gap, because obviously, with globalization and all that stuff, these like
Uh
cultural
huh.
gaps are slowly being like
Like
compromised. So
lesson.
they're,
Yeah.
yeah, they're lessened, right? So while I am like physically in an predominantly Asian area, but doesn't mean that I'm totally detached from like Western world. And I feel like some part of me feels more comfortable with the
Yeah.
Western ideas than Asian
In the
ideas, which is
Asian.
sort of like I don't want to say struggle, but it's like a really interesting dynamic that I observed within myself, because, like I said in the last
It's
episode, there
true.
are some part of Asian culture that I tend to reject,
Yeah.
and I get even called out by my parents. They say like, "Oh, you're just like," because you know how Asians have this like
You're a
weird,
goddamn sellout, man. You
yeah,
changed.
yeah. Like when they see a foreign person speaking Chinese, they're like, "Oh wow, you're so you must
Mr.
love our
Worldwide.
culture. You're welcome. Oh, ni hao. Oh, ni hao, ni hao." And but when you see an Asian person speaking like English, it's like, oh wow, this guy's a fucking sellout.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
see
he's got no
that
backbone. Yeah, like
that reminded me of something else that I think is super relatable to what we are talking about.
yep.
Is have you? I don't know if you followed anything lately, but have you been following the Hong Kong underground rap community?
Oh, just a few days ago, one of my friends, I mean, actually, our common friends, Jonathan, he showed me this like this guy's song. I thought it was pretty
Is
cool,
it? Wait, what's the song? What's the song?
dude. I forgot it. It's a banger though.
Oh, it's a
I
banger.
can
Okay,
guarantee you
so
that.
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
See, the rapping culture is obviously originated from a Western country, from wherever, but it's definitely not from Asia.
Oh,
Okay,
I found the
but
song. It's called Trap Yatsi.
oh no, oh no,
You know that
okay,
song?
oh yeah, I know that song. So
Yeah,
the thing is,
continue.
obviously it has gone global
Yeah.
from right, and then everyone is trying to, because rap is such a powerful musical tool for people to voice out their opinion, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't discriminate what kind of rap you're doing. I don't care as long as the message you're conveying is legit and valid. Then that's all I'm for, right? And
Yeah.
obviously the
I mean, music
musical,
in general, it's a really
yeah,
powerful medium that's able to breach like multitudes of cultural differences. And
yeah.
yeah, in general, it is.
So the thing I want to say is that, so Hong Kong rappers,
Yep.
obviously they're it's a really underground thing in Hong Kong,
Oh, yeah.
but some people, they're more comfortable rapping in English, and
Uh
some
huh.
people are more comfortable rapping in Cantonese, some people more comfortable rapping in Mandarin. But
Hmm.
the thing is, do you think Hong Kong rappers should rap in
Ooh.
Cantonese, or do you think it's okay to rap in English because it's like paying homage to the whole rap culture?
Yeah. Because,
Because
okay.
a lot of
Yeah.
people like bash, like
Oh,
once
yeah, of
again,
course. Yeah.
gatekeeping,
I've seen them. I've seen
gatekeeping
them. Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
Say, oh, you're from Hong Kong. Why are you rapping in English? You're not local.
Yeah.
So I would like to see what do you think
Yeah.
about it?
Cause like you remember like a few years ago or like a year ago or something, they had this show in like a Chinese rap show. It was like in mainland, right? And they had like MC
Hmm.
Jin on that stuff, right? All
Oh
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that show was really popular. And I don't know, they had they're of course they're from mainland, which means they are predominantly rapping in Mandarin Chinese.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I'm not really uh, on Chinese social media, so I don't really know if people are bashing people for like say not rapping in their mother language, sorta
Hmm.
that stuff.
Hmm.
But I can see people getting like offended, triggered, whatever that is, when they see someone, let's say, can't in your example, Cantonese rappers who are rapping English, right?
Uh huh.
But
So
yeah.
let's say, what if I'm the rapper, okay? You
Oh,
saw
okay.
me on YouTube, okay? I'm
Uh huh.
rapping everything about Hong Kong. I'm rapping about my, how I grew up, all the
Wonton
local Hong
noodle.
Kong stuff,
Okay.
all the stuff, right? No, not just the generic stuff, but the real like
Oh
Asian
yeah,
culture
real
stuff,
Asian
what we
culture stuff.
mentioned last episode.
Yep,
But
yep,
I
yep.
did all that in English. Do you think it's weird?
No, I think that's actually really cool because like not only are you breaching, I don't want to say breaching the gap because there really is no gap, right? Rapping is rapping, no matter what language you do it in, as long as you get the message out, like you said, that's the main purpose.
Hmm.
But if you're rapping in English, or if you're comfortable rapping in English, you're technically doing our culture a favor because it reaches a much broader audience, so people from overseas can, I don't know, understand our culture. Maybe I'd
That's
say
true.
like you're
That's
doing
true.
us a favor. I wouldn't get mad. I'd be like, yo, this guy's popping off. Damn, he's really good. You know?
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because I've been watching these like so-called ciphers. Do you know what
Oh yeah,
ciphers
yeah,
are?
yeah, yeah. Of course, of
Yeah, so
course.
I've been watching these ciphers, and the comments sometimes be like, or even the rappers in the cipher would diss other rapper in the same cipher,
Wow.
being like, "Oh, I'm not even from Hong Kong, but I'm speaking better Cantonese than you." Like, "Oh, and you claim
What
yourself
the
from
hell?
being from
That's
Hong
kind
Kong
of
or
that's
something
kind of
like that."
whack. That's kind
That's
of
whack
whack.
because
I mean, okay,
why are you
that's a low
bringing
blow. I
nationality?
think
Yeah, right. Why
that's
are you
kind of like a low
bringing
blow.
nationality into
Yeah,
rapping?
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. And see, yeah, going back to sorry, going back to the whole cultural clash thing. So I actually read something online recently where I think is really interesting. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna read like a short excerpt to you, and
All
you
right, all
tell
right.
me what you think about it.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure, sure, sure.
Within a not radical, within a
Rad
racial
community.
paradigm, within a racial paradigm that positions black and white as opposing poles,
Mm-hmm.
those who, like Asian Americans, don't fit on either side occupy a state of flux. They can be recast as good or bad depending on political mood.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
the statement. And
I
I
actually
some
agree
yeah,
with it.
you agree with it? Why?
Yeah. Um. Well, obviously, so what I'm gonna say, just please, if people who are listening, take it with a grain of salt, because obviously I am not well versed in Western politics. I am by no means a political advocate of any ideology or any party. Although I may sound Western to you, but I'm still like technically not a Westerner, right? But yeah, from what I can see and what I have heard from friends I know, um, I mean, you always feel like Asians don't really get like a huge backing when it comes to these stuff, right? So it
True.
almost
We're
feels like
always the
we are,
punching bag.
yeah, we're almost like at like the punching bag. We're almost like, it's like you can joke about Asians so nonchalantly while having Asians in the room and people don't even care about it, right?
But
Um,
okay,
People, yeah.
sorry to cut you off. But do you care? Do you genuinely like
Okay,
feel
I don't care because
okay?
maybe that's in our culture. Like I said, Eastern
Yeah,
philosophy differs a lot from Western philosophy,
yeah.
but
Because I don't care too.
just because we might or we tend to respond differently doesn't give you the leeway to like
That's true. That's true.
apply whatever thing. It's just like saying that, oh, if it's just like saying if like the person is not capable or not willing to say no, it's okay. Like it's sort of like that situation with Asians, because
Okay.
if you look at Asians in general, they tend to be more agreeable in some way. I'm not bashing. I'm
I
just
feel like my
stating
friends
like
are gonna
a,
disagree because they know who I am. But okay.
well, yeah, but see, I wouldn't say that you are agreeable in particular. I'm just saying like Asian culture tends to make us more agreeable. So, for example,
uh
last
yeah.
episode I mentioned that Asian parents tend to tell their kids to stay out of trouble. So that
Oh
itself,
yeah.
it's like a form of teaching your kid to be more. Um, I don't want to say more, but to be passive. Not really passive, just stay out of trouble. So you don't want to get into fights. Even if someone comes at you, you just want to haha laugh it off. Like those
Hmm.
stuff. So rather than pushing back into a punch, you sort of roll with the punch. If you get what I'm saying,
Yes. Yes.
and
Fighting
that
references.
tends
Yes.
to be what we do. well, at least coming from a first generation or like really Asian, because I'm not I didn't grew up
Asian,
in like
Asian.
America or anything, so I can't speak for Asians there. But as an Asian, well, Asian, dude, that sounds so weird.
Asian, Asian.
Yeah, like an Asian. Nah, I'm not claiming to be like
We're
superior
okay.
or
So
anything.
also, we're not trying to gatekeep Asian
Oh
here.
yeah, sure. I think
We're
we're all
just
in
we're
the
the
same
same. Yeah,
community. But
yeah.
yeah,
We're on the same community. We just
actually,
have a
this
different
this
growing
ties
environment.
into one of the problems I have with the older generation as well. They
Yeah.
tend to flood us with these kind of philosophies that, oh, you should, when someone comes at you or something, um we should just like laugh it off, roll with it. But then at sometimes I think it just sort of disadvantages young Asians, or in some form, that if we do this a lot, we almost appear more agreeable and we're more prone to like these kind of whatever racial
Oh, okay, okay.
ostracizing
I
or
get you. I get you.
bullying you say. Because if you don't well, I don't want to say you don't fight back, but if you don't at least show that, hey, I can take a joke, but there's like a limit to it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I feel like this display, I don't want to say a display of power, because it's not really a flex or a power like display. It's just like saying, oh hey, like I can take a joke, but there are some lines that shouldn't be
You
crossed.
should not
Like,
cross.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
I
yeah.
no. I was just gonna say how I like. I don't understand why this is a thing that we should teach people. Like everyone should automatically know something could not be joked around, and something
Yeah,
it's okay to joke
but
about, something's not okay. But yeah, every time I'd be like, hey, that's too. When someone say, hey, that's too much, I'd be like, okay, that should not even happen.
yeah, that you should not be telling people that's too much. But hey, the thing is, when it comes to Asians, sometimes they people tend to take the joke way too far, and they might when you, okay, I even had this one instance where I confronted this guy,
Yeah.
and he
Oh
was
yeah.
like,
Give me
yo, come
some
on man,
drama.
learn how to take a joke. Like, I mean, I didn't like,
He's trying to rationalize it.
yeah, he's trying to rationalize it in terms of saying that, oh, I'm the guy who can't take a joke, because like, yeah. So
Yeah,
at
I
that
don't
time
like that.
I was like, come on man, like, it's not that I can't take a joke, but like
That's too
some
far.
things are just like too far, bro. Like, I wouldn't mind, like, to be honest, I don't really care if you say anything about me, but
Yeah.
it's still not nice. I don't know, because obviously you can't be that selfish and say that, oh, just because it doesn't matter to me, it doesn't matter to everyone else, right? That's a pretty
Uh huh.
selfish thing to say. So in general, I don't know, but it's just sad to see that, sometimes, because you look back at all these comedic acts or something, right? When they joke about Asians, it's really just going at it. It's not even like joking anymore. It's almost like, but then the Asians in the audience are like the ones who are like laughing really hard. I mean, maybe that's who we are, but I don't know. Honestly, it's like a mixed feeling. I have mixed feelings. I can't really put it into
I
words.
I got a really I'd say controversial opinion on the whole Asian culture thing, or even just race in general.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, because we are currently in a generation called, I'd say, so-called color blind era,
Oh yeah, definitely.
where right, yeah, where we promote not that we discredit your race or your color, your skin color, but we try not we won't judge you because of that, right? Everyone knows
Mm-hmm.
that's common sense.
Yeah.
But in a sense, in my opinion, which may be controversial, but because we are living in an era where we don't talk about that a lot, more and more people is going to be dissociated with their race. That's my opinion. that's how I think it's like the first step to racial dissociation.
Yeah.
So a good thing is that not a good thing is that I won't be judged because of my skin color. I won't be judged because I came from a minority community, which is super good. But
Uh huh.
also because everyone's like so not focused on that part of their identity, that becomes like, it's whatever, it doesn't matter, right? No one's gonna
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's my
mean,
opinion. What do you think? What do you think?
yeah. Okay. So, with like the whole globalization thing, right? Racial like society is getting like becoming like this mixing pot. It's getting like more and more diverse, right? Of course, the like the clear indication between races, like the separation, it's gonna blur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because let's say you have different people of different skin color living in the same country, but that country has its own form of culture. For example, in the U.S., right? Well, you're bound to have, although people will, and I don't see why it will not, the people will retain their cultural heritage, of course.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
from like a holistic point of view, you the or like the differences between races might become blurry and blurrier. And I don't know. I think if you ask me, like, what's the problem with these like racial problems? Um, my take is that sometimes the more you look at race, the more problematic it gets.
It's a
Like,
dumb idea in the first place.
yeah,
So
because like you're looking at the separation rather than looking at the collection of your like the races in your country, right? You're trying so hard to distinguish what's, let's say, what's black or what's yellow or what's white. You're not trying to look at the whole
hmm
picture and see that what's, let's say, in USA context, what's America, or even what's Canada, or what's England, whatever, right?
hmm
Um, I might sound like a nationalist, but this is weird. It sounds like I'm preaching some like weird
no, I no no
ideology,
no.
but
I feel
no.
like what you're trying to say is that rather than looking at the difference
Yeah, yeah,
between us, we should look at the commonness between people instead of trying to
yeah,
separate everyone.
and yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah,
I
definitely. But
yeah,
my point being, race. Let's say race like the idea of race is completely gone. It's fine with me, but I'm just scared that because even race is a social construct. Even race is not a good idea. Has been like bringing more bad than good to humanity. A lot of
yeah, yeah,
things, a
yeah.
lot of what we associate with is attached with the idea of race.
Okay, so
So
here's a hot
it
take,
is.
right?
Wait,
So yeah.
do you have something to say?
Oh yeah, like what
Oh
you
yeah, go
just.
ahead.
Are you finished though? I'll let you finish if
No,
you want.
I was just gonna say how we are trying so hard. We're trying so hard to bring down the idea of race. We're trying so hard to
Yeah, yeah,
debunk
yeah.
this theory that because we're doing it so fast. You know how sometimes when something took 2,000 years to establish and you're trying to bring it down in like 30 minutes,
Oh yeah,
everyone
it's
like,
usually not gonna end well.
even though it's a good thing in a long term, a lot of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
people's identity is going to be fucked up
It's just gonna get like,
because
yeah, I get what you
it's
mean.
going to get messy. Okay, yeah, but what were you going to say?
Yeah, I think you raised a really good point. Obviously, this social construct or whatever hierarchy that our society is based on, it's, if you were to take it down in like, let's say, overnight, it's gonna cause chaos everywhere. Because even when you like, let's say, figuratively speaking, when you try to take down a building, right, like an old building, you would probably have like really calculated explosives placed and like evacuate the area. You wouldn't just
Yeah.
go in and just slam it down, right?
Yeah.
when you want to like
Just blow that bitch up.
constructively destroy or I don't want to say like eliminate something, you probably need like a plan of some sort. But back to your original thing, saying that we are trying to like sort of like erase the lines between races and stuff. I think the main problem
Uh,
lies in distinguishing race and culture, right? So let's
yeah.
say something that is intrinsic in one culture
Hmm.
probably ties in with the color of your skin,
Yeah.
and people hate it when their culture is being claimed, or you hear a lot, appropriated
Yeah.
by someone who is not of their skin color, and it riles people up. um while I think this appropriation thing, you know, I have mixed feelings about it again. Well, like sometimes it really, like the line between appropriation and appreciation is just so subjective that I can't even make a comment on it without like being afraid that I might get canceled. Like if you catch what I'm saying. So let's say this: a white woman. So this is an old story, but this white girl wore a Chinese qipao, which is like the Chinese
Yeah.
dress, to her prom
Yeah.
dress. Then people are like,
Oh
"Oh, yeah, you
yeah.
remember that Twitter?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know why she got like yelled at. Like I think it's a good thing that she
yeah,
did. What?
yeah. Okay, so this is like crossing lines, right? In some people think it's crossing lines, and then we
Mhm.
recently got like what is that? I think Trudeau, right? He was like blackface or something.
True. Did he?
Oh yeah, no,
Damn. Wait. I've been living under the rock. What? Okay. Wait. Yeah. Continue.
yeah, and then it's obviously wrong because it's not. I don't want to say it's not. It's straight up like pretending to be another race, I guess. So the question is, I always have the question is that if we were say to like erase the lines between races, right? So you don't get like separation and stuff. Then like how do you distinguish, or how do people relate back to their own culture if you were to say, let's say, oh, from now on we don't group people by race, right? So
Uh-huh.
what about culture? Because culture is so linked to race. So my
Yeah.
my 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 like prediction would be, if race becomes, or the differences in race becomes blurrier and blurrier, then
Hmm.
maybe the culture might shift towards like a more homogenous culture. So
Mm,
I don't know,
that's a fair
like
point.
opening the gates, sorta.
Mhm.
If right now you can imagine it as cultural gatekeeping. So like, oh,
Mhm.
I'm okay. I feel like I need to justify this. I'm not saying that blackface is okay and that we should allow people to make blackface. That is not okay. That's different
Mhm.
from like let's say a white person, I don't know. So like blackface is obviously like, it has like mocking, it's like a
Yeah, yeah, has a
it's like
negative
it's almost
connotation
like an
to
insult. It's like people making the slanted eye to Asians.
it.
That's that's not even
Yeah,
appropriation.
yeah,
You're not trying to like assimilate into the Asian culture, right?
yeah,
But if
yeah,
you're wearing a Chinese dress, that is appreciation because, hey, sure, like you like our culture, and I'm
yeah.
really
Go
happy
ahead.
about it, and I'm
Yeah,
happy
go
to
ahead.
share, and I'm happy to educate people, right? But then if
Hmm.
you're just saying that, oh, I love Chinese people, haha, ching chong, ling long, ni hao, and then you make those like slanted eyes, and then say, I love eating dogs for breakfast, that's not appreciation or trying to assimilate into Chinese culture,
That's such a poor
right?
example, but okay.
But hey, I chose the most extreme example, all right?
Yeah,
But
that's
I'm not
true.
a rapper, so
What? One thing I want to say is that, um, I feel like while we are trying to eradicate or get rid of the idea of race, we should
uh-huh.
also start to talk about how we should properly dissociate the idea of culture from race, because even
Yeah,
though
yeah, yeah.
we are like proactively trying to do that,
Hmm.
still a lot of people, as you said, a lot of the fight on internet, or a lot of the you know argument that we get into, are still, I mean, about cultural appropriation, or still linked to race. Like
Yeah, definitely.
we have to stop, contradicting our own action. If we want to erase the idea of race,
Hmm.
we have to also start dissociating anything that's linked to race, including what we're including, equality or whatever, right?
Hmm.
Equality, and what I just mentioned, culture,
Yeah,
and a lot of this stuff, underlying things that we should start uh, disconnecting.
yeah. But
Yeah,
would you say
that's
that there's like a certain, so obviously earlier you said that it seems like whether Asian are being like what in the spotlight or are being cared for is like based on like political stances, right? I think I just
yeah.
paraphrase you really bad, but what were you saying in the beginning, like the article?
Depending. Yeah, Asian Americans, for example,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
can be recast as good or bad
Oh yeah, yeah,
depending
that
on the
thing, that thing.
political mood.
Yeah. See, this is something that I don't know. I think it's kind of, so this is going to be like another controversial take, is that I feel like there seems like to be some prejudice when you are like trying to deal with different races, right? Because
What do you mean?
uh so like back to my statement where I said like Asians tend to be the punching bag.
Hmm.
um it feels like to me that whatever like an Asian person says or does or trying to like do something, it's almost like everyone takes it as at 50% credit. Like that's how sometimes I feel like that. It's like,
That's just intrinsic racism.
yeah, it's just
That's
like I don't even want to call it to be like, oh, people just don't care. But then you always hear these people who are Asians living abroad. They say like, oh, it's really hard to get a promotion. Like
yeah,
people are gonna promote white people first, and then people are gonna
yeah.
promote black people, and then they're gonna promote Indians, and then if you're like Asian, like Chinese or like anywhere similar, like for example, Chinese looking, you're probably
Chinese
not
looking.
gonna, so like yellowish skin color, so you're probably not gonna get like a promotion. I've heard people
Really?
mention that, yeah, and people
I
who
mean, okay, I didn't
come back
know.
to Hong Kong
Is
and
there an
say that.
actual like? Is there an actual like sequence that they go after, like whites and
No,
blacks and
obviously
Indians?
what I said is idiomatic, meaning
Oh,
that
okay, okay, yeah, yeah. So
it's
everyone,
just what I heard. But then people carry this sentiment, right? Because obviously I can't claim that my like story has any value. I'm just saying that
hmm,
whether this is true or not, the fact that people carry this sort of sentiment is valid amongst um, Asian communities, or at least some of them, some part of them, right? Is
hmm,
that the fact that we feel like, oh, we're sort of like third rate citizens or something, or like we just sort of don't matter because you can just like, yeah. I mean,
yeah, that
that's
may
my
that
observation.
maybe that's the case. Maybe but I'm not sure, because, like, as I said before, Vancouver is a city where there are a lot of Asian people here, so
Oh yeah, yeah,
maybe it's not as bad as it would have been
yeah. Hmm.
somewhere else. But yeah, but I totally understand. I totally understand, because I don't know if I've told you this before, but my uncle,
Yeah.
my mother's brother, he
Hmm.
works at the US immigration office.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, super smart guy,
Yeah.
knows like 5 to 6 languages, super
Ooh.
hardworking, lives like really modestly,
Hmm.
and he I think he told my mom that the reason why he want to quit is because after like all these years, I think he's been like promoted like once
Oh,
with a really minimal raise or something like that, and then
yeah.
every time when he thought so I think he said that no matter how hard he works, and I
Hmm.
believe him because I think he's a really hardworking guy. No matter how hard he works, there's always gonna be another white dude being promoted. Always another white guy. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
So he was like, you know what? I'm fed up with the system. I'm just gonna quit. I mean, it's a government job, so I'm gonna, there's a huge retirement paycheck or whatever.
Hmm.
But still,
Yeah.
that's messed up. That's messed up because
I
like
mean, yeah.
firsthand experience into
And
like
people
this
don't.
really.
The weird thing is, people don't. They either don't talk about it, or the thing is, all right. Back to my point on the Asian culture and like the sort of passive, silent take. We don't tend to voice these complaints. That's the problem, I think, because you see,
I
like,
mean,
so recently there's always been this stereotype with like Karens, right?
mhm.
So you're just like, oh, I'm gonna call the manager, right? I'm gonna complain. I'm gonna go to your boss. You're gonna be fired. But then you never see an Asian people doing that.
No, but
Although
the
they,
thing is,
yeah.
I don't think it's because we don't do this. I think it's because
Well, it's
um
not in our culture, right?
no, I think it's because it doesn't matter because there's no one that will help us anyway. So why even go through all that
Uh,
hassle to file the
yeah, I
complaint
guess.
or
I think,
fight
yeah.
for it, right?
I think there's also another aspect in it, though. I mean, I would agree to your point on nobody cares, right? Obviously, that's the case. If someone really cared, that wouldn't have happened in the first place, right? Because this
Right.
is
Yeah.
something
Exactly.
like remember we had the whole topic about systematic stuff. You could
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
say that this is something encoded or intrinsic in the system, whether it is systematically or bureaucratically enforced or
Yeah.
culturally accepted. It's still in part like in the system. But the thing is, it's in our culture as well, because when we encounter these stuffs, it would the most likely course of action for me, at least, even for me, it's just gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna get promoted here. It's okay. I'm just gonna leave. Like, I have really, like, I believe in my like ability to get a job, so I'm just gonna go find a job elsewhere rather than starting like a whole movement or going against or protesting or even just like, I don't know, filing lawsuits. That isn't
Hmm.
like a first response for me. And I feel like at least that's what my parents tell me as well. So the older generations of Asians, this is this course
Hmm.
of action, like this. So fight or flight, right? It's almost
Hmm.
most likely flight rather than fight. So
Us
okay,
Asians are weak as shit, bro.
no, it's not weak. All right, I don't deem this as weak, but it's just the way of thinking that's prominent in Asian culture that thinks that. So there's this phrase in Chinese. Okay, I'm gonna say
Hmm.
it in Canto. It means that basically it's like 留得青山在，唔怕冇柴燒啊嘛.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is like a concept where you don't have to go all in. So like you don't have to like really fight for stuff as long as you get like some leeway for you to retreat. So it's sort of like lose the battle, win the war sort of concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't tend to react really proactive, aggressively towards these kind of stuffs because we think we almost always have backups or we almost always have things that we can do. So we don't feel like we're in like backed into a corner. I don't know if that gets the message across.
Hmm. Hmm. I
So maybe
understand. I
that has
understand.
some part to do with it because my parents keep telling me that, oh, you shouldn't be you shouldn't be too vocal. You should just be modest, like basically what you described with your uncle. You should work modestly. You shouldn't complain anything. But then the thing is, you will always be that good employee that works really hard and no one really like notices you. And then you just, after a while, you just sort of like get that sentiment. Like I just said, like some most Asians, they have this perception that when they go to work overseas, they don't get promoted as much as other people of other races.
Okay, but here's the thing. Let's
Yeah.
say let's ignore what our parents said. Like, let's ignore what our older generation said.
Hmm.
If given the chance, given the opportunity, would you do anything about uh
So if I were
I'd
in
say,
that position,
yeah, would you do anything about it? Because one thing about
see,
the Black Lives.
this is more with my philosophy, like the way I think. Right?
Hmm.
So I'm, if I think that I can, I don't think I can go against the system. So like I said, if there's something intrinsically or inherently wrong or faulty that's within the system, I don't think I can fix it, or I don't think I can go against it. I probably get into more trouble by going against it. So I probably would be the same in the same shoe as your uncle. I'll just probably leave and find another job because I don't feel like I can make much of an impact. And with like,
Okay,
yeah, I don't know.
okay, that's fair.
I mean, what would you do though? Would you like file a complaint or start a whole movement, like go on Twitter, online campaign, that stuff?
See, um, I'd say I'd find other ways to fight this instead of like fighting a direct battle
Yeah.
with with the company or with the management level people, and it's like saying that, oh, you're racist, you didn't do
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
right. I would maybe support ongoing movements to fight, I'd say, systematic racism or cultural racism or something like
Hmm.
that, to really solve the problem, like cut the roots instead of just doing or fighting these. I'd say I'd call them like nonsense battle, because there's no way you're gonna
Hmm.
win
Yeah,
against
yeah,
like
yeah.
against these people. So I'd
So
I'd
you're
say I
more
find
for
other
like,
ways.
yeah, because yeah, you're more for like, let's say, pushing. I don't know. Does pushing an Asian person into like Congress or even presidency is gonna solve the issue? I don't know.
Because here's another thing that I read, which is really important, like a
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
important concept, is that because we're living in a elite, like a colorblind era, as I
yeah, yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
before. So on the surface, everyone is like really not racist,
Yeah.
but that doesn't apply to everyone though, because everyone
Oh
can
yeah, of
fake
course.
it. So
Yeah.
that kind of downplay or ignore the reality of racism that is within stuff that you can't see, and that
So
is
it's like a
dangerous.
blind spot rather than neglection.
Yeah, I guess. Wait, what do you mean by that?
So it's not that people, for example, if you get a white person who's trying to solve Asian problems, he might not know what to solve, not because he doesn't want to or he's ignorant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
simply
Because
might be that he doesn't even understand it because he's like from a different
yeah, yeah,
culture. So
because
like blind
like
spot.
saying like racial slurs, being hella racist verbally to in front of people, that's just tip of the iceberg. There are
Yeah.
a lot of like
More subtle and more impactful racisms
yeah,
than you can
exactly.
get by calling, let's say, calling Chinese people chinks or anything. Or just, yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot to to feel into the moment where people call us chinks.
I mean, we get called chinks like in mainstream media as well. Like they're in rap songs and no one bats an eye. Like, I don't know.
I mean, whatever. I mean, people
Yeah,
call
I
Hong
mean,
Kong people honky before. I mean,
yeah.
okay, I don't care. Like,
I mean,
whatever.
you see, I feel like when we say we don't care, it's almost like I don't know. I sometimes ask myself, is this like a defense mechanism to make myself feel better by saying that I don't care, right? Sometimes sometimes I
Yeah.
ask myself, okay, is it that you actually care, but you know that whether you care or not, it doesn't makes a difference. So might as well say I don't care and act like you're cool.
That's sad. See, that's sad.
Yeah,
This is
that's
why
that's actually
we
kind of
should
sad. Okay, do you
eliminate.
think that we need like an Asian centric or like movement or any organization or someone or something that helps to help us, or would you say that
I don't.
if we just
It's
try to push for equality
no.
in
I don't
general,
think.
it
Yeah,
will
I
fix the
don't think we
problem?
need that.
You
I
don't think
think
we need
yeah.
it?
I think you know what. This is a really good time because of what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
We can join and support the Black Lives Matter movement and to support the Black community while fighting for equality for everyone. Because let's say the movement is really successful and people start to
Hmm.
realize what they've done wrong in the system, they're going to
Yeah.
start realizing, oh, this is like this applies to everyone else.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't like try to start a movement and try to distract people from what is
Well,
ongoing
you don't.
already.
It don't necessarily has to be like a movement or some sort. You just need like someone to represent or someone to. So, like you said earlier, there might be, as we go into like a colorblind society, although people have good intentions, they might still have blind spots. So, my take is that even if, let's say we're all grouped under
Oh yeah, yeah, okay,
one
yeah, I
campaign, let's
get you.
say we're now all grouped under the Black Lives Matter campaign, right? But would you think that we need like a, so let's say like someone who's Asian who knows what we go through to like uh,
Oh yeah, like to shine
voice
light
out
on what we
rather
go
than
through.
having, let's say, someone who's not Asian to say we go through this that?
Yeah, I mean that's necessary, but I don't think we have to start
Yeah,
another
I mean
thing.
I think that's my like, actually that's what I meant, but
Oh,
I
okay,
just
okay,
feel like
okay.
I don't know, maybe I phrased it badly, but yeah, that's what I mean. Because at
That's
the end of
fair.
the day, I think blind spots will occur. It's not even may, will, because obviously, like, while we say we're breaching the gaps between races, uh, different races, I think the gap is still pretty evident, and it might
Yeah.
take more time to to fully like breach it.
But yeah, yeah, so that's like my whole
Yeah,
approach to the Asian
yeah. I feel like
identity.
we really like brought a lot of like really constructive like takes, or like how we feel. I mean,
Constructive.
I
Yeah,
think
I'd say
I feel
constructive.
like this podcast is sort of like a outlet for, I don't know, putting our voices out.
That's real. That's I like that. That I like that because I really like that. This podcast is an outlet, a
Yeah.
safe place for myself to voice out political ideas.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Hey, at least like when you get canceled, I'm gonna go down with you, right? Hey.
we're not gonna get canceled. What? We're
Oh
not.
yeah, hopefully,
We're not.
hopefully. You never, you can't predict
Okay, shut
the,
up. Shut up.
yeah.
Don't say
I
that.
mean,
Don't say that.
but I hope for those who are listening, I hope you understand that we're not like going against, um, like trying to discredit any movement or campaign. What we're doing here is just basically trying to like voice out. I don't want to say our struggles, but the things we go through as Asians, whether it is Asians who are living in predominantly Western societies, or even Asians that, in general, all over the world. Um, whether you agree with us or not, I feel like as Asians, we all could use like more conversation like this to like just, because obviously you might have some Asian people who have totally different viewpoints, and like conversation, I guess, trying to like
Yeah, yeah.
voice it
We
out
should
would
invite
be
more
a,
people to do this.
oh yeah,
It's not just
definitely,
both of us.
yeah. Well, uh the time is up right now. Unfortunately, we would love to talk more about these stuffs. We might, but I feel like because we obviously last week and this week we're all talking about Asian centric related topics. We're probably not going to continue this next week. We're probably going to move on to like a different topic.
Yeah.
But
But feel
if
free
yeah, feel
if
free
you want to
if you want to, like,
comment,
yeah,
have your input heard. Feel free to comment on the
yeah.
video, and we would love to engage in a micro tiny conversation with you.
Hmm.
And obviously, and one really obvious thing that you should have known by now is that we're not professionals. These
Yeah,
are
we're not
all just our
professionals.
opinions, and by in no way are we trying to discredit anything or encourage anything. So yeah, that's that.
Well, we are encouraging conversation, like healthy, um, like
Oh yeah,
healthy
by
and constructive
encouraging I mean like
conversation.
encouraging bad stuff
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
We're
discrediting
not trying
good
to
stuff.
perpetuate anything
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah. Well, it's been a wonderful time, and unfortunately, yeah, like I said, times is up. So if you like this video and if you like this series in general, make sure to follow us, give us a like, tell us what you think in the
Yeah.
comment, subscribe to our channel. We have tons of stuff, and check out the
Tons of
newest
stuff.
episode of a Gentleman's Pursuit podcast
Hell yeah!
on our
It's
different
with
socials.
the award-winning photographer Gareth Munden, and we did
Hmm.
the so-called 10K challenge. It was a really fun episode, so definitely go tune in and
Yep,
follow that podcast as well. Follow this podcast and follow that podcast. It's a
this
two
and that.
different thing. So
Yeah,
yes,
that's
this
about
has
it.
been Ryan and Josh, and
Yeah,
thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode.
bye bye.
Goodbye.